The hottest team in baseball will meet the other hottest team in baseball coming up tonight right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Ursery. Glad to have y'all hanging out with us here on this Monday afternoon. So much to dive into. The aforementioned Atlanta Braves, winners of 9 in a row. We'll dive into what was a historic road trip for the Braves as they return home for a 2-game stand against the Yankees. That starting tonight with Huascar Ynoa on the mound for the Braves. But we'll recap what was a phenomenal road trip and a historic road trip, something that hasn't happened before, or something that hasn't happened since the year of my birth. So a long time.
Yeah, long time.
So we'll dive into that. Also, some, in my opinion, some say it ain't so news coming out of the Georgia and Clemson game. Nothing injury related, so I'll get that out of the way. But something that I truly hope doesn't happen. I'm hoping it's just rumors. So we'll dive into that a little bit later. We have some other college football news to get into, and really, Cam, some big news out of the Falcons as well in terms of the quarterback situation. So much to dive into here today on Second Down, but I do want to start with the Atlanta Braves. Again, a historic road trip for the team. Number one, they've won 9 games in a row, all 9 of those coming on the road. So if you're keeping track, the Braves still undefeated since they started letting our guys, Joe Simpson and Ben Ingram, hit the road again with the team. So those road radio guys.
Good luck charm.
Yeah, exactly. They're undefeated since they let those guys back out on the road. First time since 1992 that the Atlanta Braves had 3 sweeps in a road trip.
Okay.
Again, hottest team in baseball right now outside of the New York Yankees, who I'll say they're equally as hot because they both won 9 in a row coming into tonight's game. The Braves are 16-2 in their last 18 games. It seems like last week we were talking about them being win-loss, 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 win-loss. All of a sudden, they're up 5 games in this division, and they've caught the Padres in the wild card race, which who would have thought that would have happened when we were sitting at the All-Star break. They've caught the Padres in the wild card race. Now they actually have the same winning percentage as the Cincinnati Reds. So now they're fighting the Reds for that second wild card spot. I don't know if anybody's catching the Dodgers for the first wild card spot because they're in second place in the NL West right now, but they'd be in first place in most other divisions. So I don't know if anyone's catching them. But again, the Braves now, you hope they win the division, but they're fighting for that wild card spot. So now more opportunities. I think now they're considered to have over a 50% chance of making it into the playoffs, where it's been as low as like point-something percent chance of making the playoffs. So a huge road trip for the Atlanta Braves. The 13-game road winning streak that they are currently on is tied for the second longest in NL history since the division era began. They're tied with the 1976 Phillies at 13 games. The only team with more consecutive road wins in the division era was the I believe 2013. Yeah, 2013 Dodgers.
Yep.
And which is at 15. So they're 2 games away from setting a record on the road. And again, I think a lot of it has started with these additions from Alex Anthopoulos. Solaire's been huge. Adam Duvall yesterday had a big 2-run double that ended up being the game winner for the Atlanta Braves. Getting Travis d'Arnaud back has been massive. I said it last week. You see what happens with this team because it starts with the infield with the Braves. I think one of the best infields in baseball when you go Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman. One of the best infields in baseball. You see what happens when they don't have the worst outfield in baseball and the worst catchers in baseball. They're a really good team.
Yeah, they are.
Like it's an elite group of players in that infield. And so when you have a serviceable outfield and a really good catcher in Travis d'Arnaud, I'll still say serviceable because, I mean, I don't know that any of those guys are batting over 250 right now. I know Soler and Duvall and Peterson are since they joined. But like for the season, none of those guys are hitting over 250 right now. So I'll still say a good outfield, not an elite outfield, but when they're just not the worst, you're seeing what happens and how good this team can be.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put it like this. I'm impressed, but yeah, they're on a 9-game win streak, which is cool. But their next 3 teams that they're playing,
always gotta be the downer, man.
Yeah, they're just no. I'm not being downer. Just hear me out. Those are the 3 hottest teams in baseball as well. So you're playing the Giants, the Yankees, and Dodgers, not in that order, but you're playing those 3 teams. But this is also a chance for you to take advantage of this moment and see how you could really place yourself amongst the contenders. Because if you go out here, I say split the series with the Yankees. I think they only play 2 games.
Yep.
Okay, and then the Dodgers and Giants.
After the Yankees, you welcome in the Giants, who have 80 wins right now,
and the Dodgers with 78.
Yeah, and then you hit the road to take on the Dodgers.
Yeah, and see, I think this is good for the Braves. You're coming off a hot stretch where at some point in time you have to lose. That's sports. You're not going to win every game you play, but this is a good testing block to see if they're amongst the contenders. If they go on this little trip, I think it's an 8-game stretch, and say they go 4-4, 5-3, who says they can't contend when playoff time comes? I'm just excited about that. In general, I like to see matchups like this where a team goes on a week-long stretch, a 2-week-long stretch when they're playing nothing but
it's like the playoffs. There's no more bad teams.
Yeah, right. No more bad teams, and now we get to see what this team is really made of.
I think it's going to be interesting. Again, the Yankees come in with a 9-game winning streak, so obviously one of those teams is going home with a loss, and one of them is going to 10 straight games. And I think the Braves stand a good chance. Again, Huascar Ynoa's back. He looked really good in his first start, and he's on the mound for you again. I mean, he looked nasty. So I'm excited to see him get out there against the Yankees. And then, as you mentioned, after that, you welcome in the Giants, and then you hit the road to take on the Dodgers. So I think this really is a good barometer what you can do in these next few games against some really good teams. But then after that, I think it sets up really well for the Braves. I think kind of like you said, if you can go 500 during those games, I think you're looking pretty good. Because after that, you stay on that West Coast trip, but you go take on the Rockies for a 4-game set, which they're 10 games under 500. Then you come back home to take on the Nationals and the Marlins, and then the Rockies again,
who you've handled, especially the Nationals and Marlins. You've handled them pretty well so far in these last couple of months.
13-game stretch against under 500 teams coming up after this tough stretch. So if you can, again, maintain what's going to be a tough stretch, and then you can get in there, I think you can hold on to that division lead. So it's going to be really fun going down the stretch for the Atlanta Braves. A couple other things to hit on here from the weekend. Will Smith keeps taking us on adventures. Comes in to close out a game, two-run lead, gives up a home run. Ends up closing it out, but still makes it super interesting. Other games, Austin Riley's having to make diving stabs. There's always runners on base. Like with Will Smith, there's always runners on base.
Why do they keep playing him?
Well, they asked Brian Snitker. They go, hey, has there been any thought of putting someone else, giving someone else a chance? Like Tyler Matzek's been really good. AJ Minter, since he came back from AAA, has been really good. A lot of people want to see Rich Rod out there as the closer. You give it a thought of putting somebody else out there, and Brian Snitker kind of laughed it off. He's like, you guys kind of created a narrative that he's a bad closer. He has less blown saves than a lot of the guys you consider to be good closers, and which, I mean, it's true, but it's I think for the fans and for the reporters that watch, it's more of a if not now win kind of a thing with Will Smith, because he keeps teetering on that edge. It's never come in 3 straight guys, sit him down, let's get out of here. It's always, all right, runners on first and second with 1 out. Let's scramble and hold on to this. It's never easy. And so I think we're worried about the fact that this is going to start teetering, and eventually it's not going to go the way you want it to go. Dansby Swanson's not going to be able to turn some elite double play to get him out of trouble, right? It's going to happen where it's kind of like with the Braves we've said all year. We're waiting on them to go on the run that they're on now. They just kind of were stuck in neutral all year, and we were waiting on them to go on a run. They finally went on a run. Eventually, it's going to come back the other way for Will Smith, and one of those hot shots to third base is just going to get under Austin Riley's glove.
Or it could be the reverse, and he turned. I mean, normally we don't see this in sports very often, professional sports, but maybe, just maybe, I mean, being positive, you guys told me to be a little bit more positive.
Yeah.
Maybe he could turn this thing around. Maybe he's doing this for him to get all the crap out the way and maybe turn this thing around.
I think it's one of those things where if you purely look at the stats, which I guess is what Snicker's doing, is if you purely look at the stats and don't look at your anxiety level during the games, he has a really good save percentage. He doesn't have too many blown saves. And again, a lot of the people we consider to be elite closers, he has less blown saves than them. So
stats are so misleading. Sometimes I hate stats.
They really are.
They really are, because you can look at a picture. I look at eye test. Man, if you're coming there and giving up a home run, we just need you to get 3 outs.
Well, when fans are just like throwing their hands in the air after you give up a solo shot, like, of course, it's Will Smith. We literally had a guest on last week who made the joke. I think it was Doc Herbert who made the joke. It's Will solo shot Smith. Like, he's going to give up a home run every time he comes in,
He
and then it's like, what can you do with the rest of the inning?
even Cody when he was here a couple of
Oh,
months
Cody
ago.
like has a visceral
Yeah.
disdain.
Yeah, he has an issue with Will
Yeah.
Smith, a personal issue, I guess. I mean, that's what it seemed like. But I mean, we've been talking about him since the beginning of the year. Maybe he could turn things around, but we're like
Well,
what
what Snicker
100
says, he doesn't
games.
need to turn anything around. He's doing great.
He's not doing great. Like I'm saying, stats are misleading. I don't look at all the analytics and stuff. That's how you end up. Great teams don't look at that. They look at the eye test, and the eye test is telling you he's below average. Put it like that.
I'd say the great teams just have the biggest pocketbooks. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's eye test or just bank account sizes.
kind of both. Kind of both.
Especially,
Some of them draft well, then some of them they just have that money, the Dodgers,
yeah,
and they go buy their players. I mean, I would know
Bestie
about that.
Bestie Money can buy. I mean, what's up, Liberty Media? We could use a little bit bigger bankroll. You see what Alex Anthopoulos can do when he's pinching pennies. Imagine what he can do if you gave him a real bankroll out there. So there you go. But we got more to come here on Second Down. We'll dive into some college football talk when we come back again. A say it ain't so moment for me over the weekend. Nothing to do with injuries, but still something I really hope is not true in regards to Georgia and Clemson. We'll dive into it when we come back next, right here on Second Down. Cam, what you know about those night moves?
Nothing at all.
You don't have to be discreet on the show. Come on, what you know about those night moves?
Nothing. Really nothing.
You don't know about that Bob Seger life?
Nope. I seen the name. Nah, I've seen the name before. That's why I clicked
You're
it.
working on those night moves?
Nah.
In your mind, like what do you feel like night moves are?
No clue. I guess dance moves at night.
Oh no, I was thinking a little something more, a little bit more mischievous, but no, Cam, I think you know about those night moves. We got so much to dive into here on Second Down. As I mentioned in the last segment, there's been some rumors that are circulating on social media, which is obviously a dangerous place to get information from. But then someone who I do respect and listen to has kind of, I don't want to say confirmed the rumors, but said that they're the talk of the town in Athens. So on Saturday and Sunday, tweets started circulating that Georgia Clemson in the Duke's Mayo Kickoff Classic, I believe is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Is going to be a color rush game.
I hope not.
With
Lord.
Georgia wearing red helmets, red jerseys, and red pants.
That's going to be
looking like some ketchup bottles out there. And Clemson wearing, I guess, orange helmet, purple tops, and purple bottoms, which they've done before. Now, they're, again, Buck Bellew on 680 The Fan this morning was talking about it, saying it was all the talk in Athens. He's heard some friends up there talking about it, that like everybody's real excited about the red pants. And so I wasn't giving this any credence until I saw Buck Bellew talking about it, which, I mean, last Georgia quarterback to win a national championship, radio superstar in Atlanta. My man's got the inside track there in Athens. So maybe Buck Bellew putting a little bit more weight. This could also just be Buck reading the internet and other people reading the internet and getting real hyped. It's like the fake JT Daniels quote that they said they're going to curb stomp Clemson. Like, if you really think JT Daniels said that in an area in which it could be reported, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona, I guess is the best way to put that. But again, if it is true, Cam, red helmet, red jerseys, red pants versus orange helmet, purple top, purple pants, that may be one of the worst matchups in terms of uniforms ever.
Ugly. Now, mind you, I don't mind the Clemson look because the orange helmet and I mean, it'll look smooth for Clemson. Purple tops and bottoms, orange helmet, but that all red for Georgia. I mean, man, that I can't get down with that. This is not the NFL. NFL, we saw them do their color rush. I think the Falcons, they've done their color rush, but they weren't all red. They had the black helmet at least. This will look, I mean, I don't know if it's, I seen you tweeted the other day, a recruiting standpoint, and you made a valid case. Alabama's had the same jerseys forever.
Yeah.
And they're the cream of the crop. Why are we doing this all red?
No, the point I made is Alabama, like, because everyone was hopping on there saying, oh, you do it for recruiting purposes. You do it for recruiting purposes. Nike came to Georgia and said, hey, you guys wear these and it'll be huge for recruiting. No, Kirby Smart doesn't believe that. And again, if that was true, I just do it as a case study. If that was true, Auburn is perennially a top 10 team in recruiting, right? Mm-hmm. They've worn white pants and white helmets for every game forever.
Yep.
I cannot think of a time Auburn did an alternate uniform. I may be wrong. I may be missing a game where they had something weird that they had to do, but 99.999% of games Auburn runs out there. I'm guessing 1,000% of games that Auburn runs out there, it's white helmet, white pants, either the blue uniform or a white uniform. Like that's Auburn, right? They're top 10 in recruiting. Alabama, number one, like literally the number one recruiting class of all time per multiple recruiting services signed last year. When was the last time Alabama made an alteration to their uniform?
Never.
I think they've had like one alternate since Nick Saban's been there, and it was like they just changed the stripe on the pants a little bit and put a American flag on a helmet. And that was it. And then after that, they went back to the regular uniforms.
I don't think Auburn's had an alternate. I'm looking. I've never seen this orange jersey that they have.
I don't think it's huge. And just like when you talk to high school players, none of them are like, hey, give us the biggest reason why you committed to the school. Yo, did you see that uniform we might get to wear once while I'm there? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Like, that's why I'm going to this school over this school, is because this uniform I might get to wear one time. So when you come at me with the teams do this for recruiting purposes, you can miss me with that. I don't think that's true whatsoever. Now, if you say the kids you already have on campus vote and say, hey, we want to do this. Like, I think the original blackout game was the teams had come to Mark Richt multiple times and been like, we want to do a blackout game. We want to do a blackout game. We want to do a blackout game. And he's saying, no. Because if you remember, when Mark Richt came in, you got rid of the black stripe on the Georgia helmet, and he changed a lot of stuff. You got rid of Georgia, like in the Mike Bobo years when Mike Bobo was quarterback, kind of had like the collar that had like stripes on the collar. When Mark Richt got there, it changed a lot of it back to the way it was. Again, just the white stripe down the middle of the helmet. He did bring in some different stuff like the helmet stickers, which Kirby Smart's gotten rid of, but small stuff. But when Mark Richt was there, really the only alteration you had to Georgia uniforms was Nike coming in and telling the school, we want to design a uniform logo or font for the numbers to go throughout all of the teams at the school. And so now that's what you see with Georgia's. I think they kind of look like the Steelers a little bit with what they did with the font on the numbers when the Steelers changed theirs. But that's really the only alteration you've seen. And now since Kirby Smart's been there, uniforms have not changed very much at all. And then you've done some stuff like the red pants in honor. I forget who they were honoring last year, but they wore the red pants against Arkansas and said that they were retiring them after that game. It was a one-off for the red pants. And now they have the black spiked collar uniforms that we saw against.
I think those are kind of cool though.
I prefer just the regular black uniforms.
I prefer regular black.
Where it's just the regular home uniforms. You just switch the red for the black. Like I think those are clean.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mark Richt did have some nightmare uniforms. And
the one against Boise State.
Yeah, the Power Ranger uniforms were bad.
Oh man,
the chromed out helmets.
I did not like that, and we lost too.
Yeah, the Boise State was really good that year, but still, that was wearing the Power Ranger uniforms and getting smoked by Doug Baldwin. Not Doug Baldwin. God, the muscle hamster. It's Doug something. Played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Doug Martin, thank you. And Kellen Moore. He's now the OC for who was the OC for the Cowboys. I don't know if he is anymore.
He is. I think so.
Yeah, he got smoked by a really good team. They had some dudes on defense too.
They were number 5 in the country.
Yeah, they were really good. But those uniforms were atrocious. And then I think the black helmets and the black pants against Florida.
Yeah,
those were rough. Now, I don't want to hear any Florida fans talking crap about Georgia uniforms when we've seen the
all orange Gatorade.
Well, we've seen the Gator skin uniforms.
Oh. I gotta remember
which were bad. Like literally, like the green Gator skin uniforms. They were maybe the worst uniforms in the history of college football. You also had like the orange sleeve game where you had like the blue uniforms and just like the orange sleeve on one side, whatever that was. So there's been some bad uniforms for most teams, but just miss me with this is for recruits. I think it's more so than anything. It's if you get the players together and they say, hey, we want to do this. Sure. If you want to like go to your players' wishes, I think that's fine. But I also think when you're in a game, I think Kirby Smart has alluded to this, which is why I'm still not buying into this. Marquee matchups are branding opportunities for your team.
Yeah.
So you don't want to really play with what your brand is as a team when you're in the spotlight game. So for Georgia, if you're the home side, that's red helmet, red jerseys, silver breeches. If you're the away team, it's red, white, silver.
I want to see that red, white, and silver.
Those are your uniforms. So why would you throw one-off alternates into the
biggest regular season game you've played in?
I was gonna say the biggest regular season game Kirby Smart's had.
Yeah, and might be the biggest regular season game you've played in. Well, opening regular season game you've played in I don't know how long, since Boise State.
Yeah, I think it's even a higher ranked.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a massive opening game. But again, just a branding opportunity. And think about the games that Kirby Smart has worn alternate uniforms in. It was I think the first time you saw it was with Nick Chubb and those guys back in 2016 against one of the Louisiana schools, either Louisiana or Louisiana Monroe, where they played that game. You saw them against Mississippi State last year and Arkansas, and then they did it in the Peach Bowl. But again, a game that really didn't matter.
It didn't. If we lost, we lost. If we won, like we did.
And that was a pretty terrible uniform matchup. Georgia, like with the red, black, and silver against Cincinnati and like the all red. kind of look.
Yeah, they need to get back to like the traditional uniforms. Who's the away team in this game?
I think
Clemson
it
or
is
Georgia?
Clemson.
Okay, so Georgia, like you said, red helmet, red jersey, silver breeches. Let's go. Simple as that. Just
Yeah.
keep it basic, man. We like to see the nostalgia. We like to see the old school games, like the old Clemson and Georgia rivalry back in the day, a couple of years ago. What was that? 8 years ago?
2014 was the last time they played.
Yeah, so 7 years ago. Yeah, that little stretch where they played each other.
Now,
Good
Todd
times.
Gurley and Nick Chubb went off.
Yeah.
I think Nick Chubb's first game
Yeah, first game
for
went
Georgia.
off.
Ran a touchdown in without a shoe.
Yeah, good times, man. Todd Gurley had a kick return that game.
He
Am I
did.
wrong? Okay.
He did.
Good
No,
time.
that was great because we actually had Brad Nessler on the show because that was back when he was working with ESPN before he took over for Vern Lundquist at CBS. And he said that was one of the times he felt like super smart while he was on the broadcast because if you listen to the game as Georgia is getting set to return that kick, Brad Nessler is kind of saying, Georgia, y'all need to stop being cute and just give the ball to number 3.
Number 3,
because it was just kind of like the offense had kind of been sluggish for a stretch there. Like, just give the ball to number 3. Quit being cute with the offense. Then they kick the ball off to Todd Gurley, and he houses it.
That
for
was
a touchdown.
out of halftime, right?
And they house it. No, I think Clemson had just scored, and then they house it, and Todd Gurley housed it for a touchdown. And Brad Nessler's like, "Yeah, see,
good days.
Just give the ball to number 3." So again, the reports are out there, and I won't even say reports because I haven't seen anybody actually report that this is happening. I've heard Buck Bellew say that it could happen, and I've seen some tweets, and none of them with blue check marks next to them, that Georgia could be wearing all red and Clemson could be wearing orange, purple, which again, maybe the worst uniform matchup we see all year.
That'd be cool for Clemson. I actually like the orange, purple. But Georgia, I can't get red with the ketchup.
If you want to do a color rush game, let Clemson come out in the all orange or do the orange, purple, something like that, which I think someone, an actual reporter that covers Clemson has come out and said they only wear that for military appreciation.
Okay. Understandable.
Like Purple Heart, the purple uniforms, right. And have Georgia come out, and if you want to switch up the pants, go, if you can do color rush, go red, white.
Red, white. Ooh.
Like that. I may be okay with.
That'd be that'd be smooth. I'm classic. I love it when Georgia comes out in the red, white, silver.
Oh, I think I think Georgia,
those are my favorite uniforms.
Georgia's home uniforms are good. Like they're really good. The away uniforms are elite.
Yeah, they're the best of the best to me.
Like that's elite. I still think LSU's to me are the best in college football.
Ooh. I like Michigan's.
That yellow, white, yellow. No, let's not talk about regular uniforms. So, which alternates do you actually like?
Alternates? Oh, man.
Because there have been some clean ones.
It's been some clean ones.
Like, I think Oregon maybe does it better than anybody just because they always come out with something new. But I really like I forget what they call them, like the Quack Attack uniform.
Yeah, see, I can't even include Oregon because they got a million of them.
It's the white helmet with the green O on it, but they have the orange face mask. So the mallard kind of head.
You remember the year they did like pink stuff? Like
they do it every year.
And stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, they do it every
Breast cancer awareness, yeah.
Man, Oregon they always have the coolest. When you play NCAA football back in the day, I went to Oregon specifically for the jerseys.
Just for all the different uniforms?
All the different uniforms. You get different flavors every game.
I will say this. The all blacks that some teams wear are pretty smooth. Like Mississippi State's look good. Texas A&M's look good. Texas Tech's look good.
I think I got a
TCU's look good.
I don't like this team.
Oh, no.
But I love their jerseys. Ohio State. You got to love those jerseys, man.
I think Ohio State's regular home uniforms are great, but I'm not a huge fan of the digi camo.
That black when they had Zeke. Yeah. Those jerseys are smooth.
You know who's underrated because they haven't been good lately, but the Smoky Mountain uniforms for Tennessee, those gray uniforms, where they actually have like the Smoky Mountains on the helmets.
Those are nice.
Those are smooth.
I'll give you that. Those are nice.
I'm a big fan of those.
Even though we're Bulldog fans, I have to give the Florida. I like Florida's jerseys. I like Florida's jerseys, man.
Excuse me?
They're nice. You got to admit they're nice. But I love Michigan's helmet. Best helmet in college football to me. I think that's the best one. You know
who always messes up their alternates, and I think it's just the color scheme is tough. Miami. I don't remember ever seeing a Miami alternate where I'm like, that's smooth. I'm like, kind of missed on those.
Got the green, orange.
Yeah, it's hard to do a lot with that. Green and orange is tough.
That is tough. I mean, they still look the green jerseys, man.
Well, I
It's
think
just
just their
smooth to
standard
me,
home
man.
uniforms are fine.
Yeah,
It's when they start messing around and trying to do the alternate stuff and playing around with them.
they've done black, right?
Yeah,
Nah, that
like
wasn't
I
it.
think they wore black against Notre Dame.
Nah, that's not it. I like Notre Dame jerseys too, though.
No, Notre Dame has had some atrocious
Oh,
alternate
your
uniform.
alternate.
They did like
They've
the
done
half
green.
helmet where they had like it wasn't even half. It was like a 60% helmet where it was like 60% gold, and then the other 40% was
Yeah.
blue, and it had the mascot on it, and then the uniform was all this like weird stuff. It said Irish across. There been some big misses. I don't think
Yeah.
anything beats though UConn being branded out by Aero Pastel
Hmm.
for their uniforms. Like that was back in the early 2000s. That's some funny stuff, right? I think Dan Orlowski. You want to do some like deep cuts here.
Ooh.
Dan Orlowski, when he played at UConn, with Aero Pastel was the sponsor for them.
Dan Orlowski.
Which can you tell me which Power 5 team is now sponsored by New Balance?
Power 5.
Boston College.
What? I thought they were Under Armour. They
No,
changed?
Boston.
Wow.
Yeah, they switched. Boston College is now branded out by New Balance. So if the coaches don't all come out there in the all white New Balances with the blue bottoms on there, I'm gonna be real disappointed. We got more to come. Take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more college football, also some quarterback news for the Atlanta Falcons. Got a lot more to get into here on Second Down. We'll be right back after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Urshery here. Glad to have y'all hanging out with us here on this Monday afternoon. Some news coming out from the Atlanta Falcons. They had a preseason game this weekend against the Dolphins. Did not go well for the Falcons, but again, we haven't seen really hardly any of the starters so far in the preseason. And most indications are we will not see the starters for the Atlanta Falcons. But A.J. McCarron, the presumptive backup for Matt Ryan, went down with a knee injury during the game. Had an MRI on that, and we're waiting to hear what the verdict is. But as of right now, at practice today, according to Orlando Ledbetter, the only two quarterbacks suited up for the Atlanta Falcons are Matt Ryan and Felipe Franks. How nervous, Cam, does that make you going in to the 2021 season?
I'm trying not to be nervous because of the simple fact that means Matt Ryan won't be getting hurt. Let's put it like that. So I'm trying to be optimistic about it.
Oh, so if it ends up not mattering, that means it's a good thing because Matt Ryan.
Yeah, it basically. But you don't want to see anybody get hurt. If you follow football in general, AJ McCarron was a legend at Alabama, national championship winner. Came in the NFL. He's always been a solid backup, but you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But I tweeted something yesterday on my Twitter as far as getting another backup quarterback. It's a guy out there on the market. He's had a shaky start to his career, but he was a first-round pick, top 10 pick, had a lot of potential. He wasn't given a fair shot since he's gotten into the league. Josh Rosen. And the reason why I say that, I'm just saying, reason why I say that, he could be a project for somebody to develop.
But this ain't college, man. You got to pay the project.
Yeah, you're right. But somebody to just develop behind Matt Ryan, because this is a guy that scouts saw a lot of potential in and say, oh, he could be really good. I mean, he was a top 10 pick. Only reason why he didn't stay with Arizona is because they got Kyler Murray, who's just, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks, if not one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
But I think they draft Kyler Murray the year after they picked him in the first round because he wasn't good enough.
Yeah, it might be that, but we've seen that happen with a couple of players where they're not good enough in certain places and they go somewhere else and they become pretty good, pretty decent. I just say it wouldn't hurt the Falcons to give it a shot, bring them into the training camp, bring him into the facility, let him sit behind Matt Ryan, and if he shows progression, then you keep him. If he doesn't, well, where he's at right now is where he'll be after that. I just say give it a shot. You have nothing to lose at this point, especially if you're the Falcons. And lastly, I don't know why we're acting like we're the Kansas City Chiefs trying to save our starters and stuff for the regular season.
I don't really care.
They need to get some reps. I would like to see some of those young guys come out there and get some reps.
If you say you like to see them, I think that's fair. But saying they need to do that, I don't know.
It's hard, man.
Like, do you really need to see it? Does Matt Ryan coming into what? What year is this going to be for Matt Ryan?
Not Matt, but some of the other guys. Like, I would like to see Pitts just run a series or two. Ridley, Gage.
14 for Matt Ryan? 13?
He came in 08, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be about 13. Yeah.
Does Matt Ryan really need – because a lot of preseason stuff is you come in and so you get – it's not just the on the field. It's all the execution, right? It's getting the plays in, headsets, making sure your assistants are in the right spot on the sidelines, making sure you're getting packages in and out. I don't know that Matt Ryan needs to do that again.
This team better be well prepared.
And also, especially with A.J. McCarron going down, I don't think Matt Ryan needs to touch the field in the preseason.
I agree with that. I never really was the proponent of a person saying Matt Ryan needs to play this preseason. You just want to see Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I do. I want to see Kyle Pitts, Ridley, Gage, and some of those young guys get after it for a series or two in the preseason, because in September 12th, you're playing the Eagles. And I know everybody's saying, oh, it's the Eagles. They're a physical team. They still have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and those guys on the D-line. That's a physical team. So if you're going out there and you haven't played a game for Kyle Pitts' sake or anybody's sake since almost a year, November.
I don't know what's more physical, the preseason games or these joint practices. And so if Arthur Smith feels like he's seeing enough, and from what we've seen in the limited videos we've seen, Kyle Pitts is cooking NFL veterans right now, and so is Calvin Ridley, and Matt Ryan's dropping dimes. I think maybe more so than anything, it's we can't afford to lose a guy to something silly like a preseason game, which is a little depth as the Falcons have. So I think that's what a lot of people said is if you look at the front line for the Falcons, just the first 22 that go out there, offense, defense, it's not atrocious. It's not bad.
It's the depth
It's
that we're
it's
worried
it's
about.
actually pretty good, right? Like I think a lot of NFL teams would take a combo of Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, and Calvin Ridley.
Any
Like
day of the week.
yeah, like so. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
bad. The defense you do like straight up the middle. You got Grady Jarrett and Deion Jones. Like that's pretty dang good. Afoye Oluokun's coming along as well. What you can't afford is an injury to any of them because there's no depth.
Those guys better be ready to play, man.
Yeah. A lot.
They got to be ready to play a lot. I hope they're in condition. I'm putting my faith in Arthur Smith. I said to my father a couple of days ago, it's not I care about winning, but it's about being competitive now. Can you put a product on the field that's going to be exciting to watch and be competitive and give your fans something to look forward to for the future? Because we're not winning nothing right. We're not winning the Super Bowl right now, but can you build a culture? That's the thing. Can you build a culture in Atlanta to where us as Atlanta
I like what
fans,
Chuck
we
Smith
wake
said.
up?
Chuck Smith said, former Atlanta Falcon, great. He said, I hope whatever the identity is with this new team, toughness is a big part of it.
We need it.
Because this has not been, even the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Finesse.
I don't know if I would say put tough anywhere on that team.
We're a finesse team. We got turnovers when needed.
And I've said this before, and I know people are probably tired of hearing it, but how many times have teams watched the Atlanta Falcons or fans have watched the Atlanta Falcons and been like, dang, like I don't want to play them. Like that looks like a team that hurts you.
Never.
Like where you're sore for the next 4 or 5 days after you play that team. No, it's always the Steelers and the Ravens, right? Teams like that you don't. Denver, right? Like you just like Denver's going to out physical you, not just on the line, but I mean, they're linebackers, they're running backs, they're
the
corners.
Bears.
Yeah, like they're teams. I mean, Bears maybe not so much recently, but in the past for sure. In the
Urlacher defense
years,
now,
though,
the
Urlacher
it's
years,
still nasty.
Defense is pretty good with Eddie Jackson and Roquan and those guys. It's pretty good, but just teams that beat you up. You know who I think's quietly been one of those teams for a while? It's just they don't get a lot of coverage. Is the Chargers.
Agreed.
Especially with Melvin Ingram. I know he's not there anymore, but you had Ingram, Bosa, Derwin James.
Yeah.
I mean, just
now they got the Murray kid and some of those guys running
Perryman
around.
playing linebacker. Like they'd smack you in the mouth. Like I don't know how many times we can say that about the Atlanta Falcons, where they've had people on the defense where you're like, that's scary. Like that
at each
that
level.
hurts. And I can't think of any time in the history of the Atlanta Falcons that they've had that.
No, at all like, 3 levels.
Or just in general, just a defense that you're like, that thing's scary. Like when you had John Abraham and D'Angelo Hall, like you had some really good players.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of soft, right? Like it's just how many times have the Falcons been tough? I would love to see that come in. I think not just Arthur Smith, but Dean Pease coming in as the defensive coordinator. If I had to imagine, if I had to prognosticate out to the future, Dean Pease has got to be grooming one of the guys on the defensive staff to take over for him in the future. So hopefully, like you said, kind of an identity shift for the Atlanta Falcons this year. We'll see. I mean, I like some of the running backs they've signed. Mike Davis, obviously, is a power back. Dante Foreman out of Texas is a big back as well. I just saw Bo Scarborough hit the free agent market. Could that be a guy you see the Falcons bring in? So it's just try to emulate the Derrick Henry experience as much as possible. Obviously, you're not going to get anywhere close, but as close as you can get, I think we'll take it.
Even half.
That's right. We got more to come here, though, on Second Down. We'll come back. Final segment next. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Urshery here. And Cam, today would have been Kobe Bryant's 43rd birthday. Obviously, rest in peace to one of the GOATs, not just in basketball, but just in sports in general. I want to ask you, in your mind, what single thing makes Kobe, like just in the pantheon? Because to me, obviously everything he did in basketball, in my basketball watching experience, he's the second best player ever.
Oh, Christian, I love you.
In my opinion, he's the second best ever. He can play on both sides of the court.
Thank you.
All the championships with and without Shaq. It's Kobe.
I love you.
Right. I love you too. But
thank you.
I obviously everything he did in basketball is amazing and made him who he is. And I think a lot of his quotes, I'm a big quote guy and a big book guy. Just like a lot of the ways he talks about mentality and approaching life and approaching relationships and games, I think it's really awesome. It's a little bit different than Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan, I think, is the far end of the spectrum competitor, like borderline psychoses, where he's making up fake storylines about himself to get him where he needs to be. Kobe Bryant, a little bit different than that. And obviously what he became after basketball with the hashtag girl dad and all that stuff. But I think, to me, singularly, and it's almost a generational thing. If you have a piece of paper in your hand and you crumble it up and you throw it into a trash can, what do you say?
Kobe. Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
If you're playing basketball with your friends and it's 10-10 and you're going for the game-winning shot and you hit a fadeaway from behind the three-point line, what do you say as soon as you let it go?
Kobe. You don't say nobody else's name.
Nobody.
Yep.
And I think the fact that you are so synonymous with clutch shots and with just a style of shot like the fadeaway, like Kareem had the hook, right? But you're so synonymous with a shot. To me, I think those are a huge part of his legacy.
Ooh, okay. My favorite moment of Kobe, he's won 5 rings, but that 5th one was the best. If people watch back in 2008 when he lost to the Celtics, that hurt him bad because they got blown out, I think, by 40 something points.
Those are
in that
really
game
good
6.
Celtics teams.
Oh yeah, yes, and that was my first time ever in my life where I seen somebody go on a literal revenge tour for 2 years. 2009, he demolished everybody. Melo beat Dwight, Hedo Turkoglu, Jameer Nelson, Rashard Lewis. 4 All-Stars in 5 games. And then the next year, you go 7 games, blow for blow with KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rondo, all first ballot Hall of Famers. And the only All-Star you have on your team is Pau Gasol.
Yep.
And you beat them in 7 games. And he wanted to beat Boston so bad, and he was able to do it. After that, the league vetoed, Chris Paul coming because I don't think they wanted him to get that 6th ring. But, man, that 5th ring, that was probably his greatest achievement ever, probably ever. So
again, today would have been Kobe Bryant's 43rd birthday. So just celebrating what was a phenomenal life and an amazing legacy for Kobe Bryant. As I said, my opinion, second best player of all time. I know a lot of people will be upset. I know if Jim's listening right now, he's real mad. Jim has always ridden hard for the dream, Hakeem, as the best of all time. So,
no,
we'll see. But again, we got more to come. 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, and Kevin Thomas leading you in to Braves baseball.